If you are into video games and video game news, you have come to the right place. Who am I, you ask? I am the Wiz! And this is a new week, which means new stories and new releases, but we will start this episode off with a not-so-new game I am playing. And that's Fights in Tight Spaces. I am playing this on PC. I think it's also for Switch. I'm not entirely sure. I should have checked that. This is a turn-based roguelike game that has an art style like Superbad, but an isometric view. Honestly, it was the looks that captured me at first to check this game out. I just like the clean art deco aesthetics that the game has. But I was kind of surprised to find that the game is like 95% Slay the Spire and 5% John Wick Hex, which is a good thing. I did not like Hex so much. If you played Slay the Spire, you already know what to expect. Every turn you draw cards that denote what your characters can do. The differences in this game are that the playing view is isometric, and that there are cards that you need to draw in order to move. Now, I haven't been in a situation yet where I have had no cards to actually be able to move, so I'm not sure if there is a possibility of that happening. The game is very similar to Slay the Spire in some key aspects. First is the comment that's already been mentioned, but also the means of beefing and thinning your deck. As you win fights, you gain more cards you can put into the deck and money to spend in shops to upgrade those cards or remove them after they have outlived their usefulness. Also, like Slay the Spire, when you die, you start over again, but you earn progression to level up other cards, characters, and deck types. I hate to keep invoking Slay the Spire, but there are a lot of similarities to Fights in Tight Spaces and Slay the Spire, which is why I'm having fun with the game. But if I'm being honest as of right now, if I had more of a craving for this type of game, I'd be playing Slay the Spire more than likely. But if you exhaust yourself on that game and you want a similar game like that, I can see some enjoying this game for what it is. It doesn't reinvent the card building roguelike, but it definitely is an interesting take. And now let's get into the news that happened from June 23rd to June 26th. And we're going to get started with the Perfect Dark Reboot, which has reportedly been in development since 2018. It has been reported by IGN that it is still about 2 or 3 years away from being released, and it will likely be an episodic release when it comes out. IGN spoke to about 13 different people across 3 different studios that are working on the game, and I can't further express how bad this is for Microsoft and Xbox. Bearing in mind the pandemic might have slowed things down a bit, but the budget and time bloating to produce all these games are going to catch up with Microsoft, especially if the game doesn't turn out very well, much like Redfall, for example. And with the possibility of this being episodic, this could likely mean 2 things. Either you're getting the game like if Halo Infinite did its single-player content with a small campaign and the promise of more to come, which now 343 is putting on the back burner for the time being, or they will change it back to a full release, likely meaning it may take even longer to finish. I'll say it again, either they need to hire somebody who can put these studios on the right track to make these games in a timely and cost-effective manner, or Phil Spencer is going to have to go at some point. Throughout his tenure, Xbox has had numerous games with constant delays, disappointing releases, or games that were just straight up canceled. And if Spencer is more of a big picture leader, you need somebody to handle the operations side to make sure things are running smoothly. This can't go on for much longer, and if it does, I wouldn't be surprised if the rumors of Microsoft possibly selling the Xbox brand actually gain some steam moving forward. Next up, VGC spoke to Sonic creative boss Takashi Iizuka and asked if there is a possibility of other franchises coming back since Sonic has returned to 2D and Samba de Omega will be returning soon with a new game. And while he wouldn't comment specifically on what could be remade, VGC states the possibility of Burning Rangers and Knights returning, as an example. He did say the Sonic team is ramping up hiring more staff. What does this likely mean? I think this means that more Sonic stuff is likely coming, but there might be a possibility, and an ever so slight one in fact, that some of Sega's more dormant franchises might come back. Next up, Multiverses has officially gone offline as it prepares for a 2024 relaunch. It recently pulled the game off of digital shelves in April. Look, I've said my piece on the tactics of player-first games, and I'm going to say it again. This is a terrible idea. When most free-to-play games tend to relaunch or revitalize a game that has become stagnant in popularity, they don't shut it down. They let the player base play the actual game while they work hard on the product itself. They make it abundantly clear that the game will not have any updates, and when they are ready, they will let them know. Now the game is essentially over. And now they're expecting people to return to a game that had to be shut down in order to get better? It's a steep hill to climb. And remember when EA had the option of revitalizing Anthem and decided it wasn't worth the time to do it? There is a reason aside from Anthem's problems. Capturing an audience when a game has already failed is incredibly hard to do. And yes, I know some of you are going to point to Final Fantasy XIV and say I'm wrong. But that is something Square had to put in much more money and time that WB Games is not willing to put in. If this game comes back, and I am starting to doubt it will at this point, but if it does come back, will have to be a marked improvement or it'll feel like a waste at that point. The expectations will likely be high for the people still interested in playing the game. And if they are met, maybe you'll have a chance of gaining a little more popularity. Disappoint them, and you are toast. And that is if the game is truly coming back, which, again, I am still having doubts of. Next up, Google is apparently testing a product that will allow you to play games via YouTube, according to internal documents obtained by the Wall Street Journal. This reminds me of when Stadia was first being shown off, what Google was advertising as a possibility through Stadia, where you can watch a person play a game on YouTube, click a button, and then you're playing it right away on Stadia. And honestly, when that was shown off, that actually sounded kind of exciting. But the reality of how cloud gaming is right now, with latency, lag, and graphical fidelity performance, I don't think it's a feature I will come to actually want to use, since it's tied to cloud gaming. As just a tech advancement, it's fascinating, but I would much rather click a button on YouTube that would send me to Steam to download it, not play it through the cloud. For me, the tech ain't there yet, may not be there for a while. And finally, another company is getting into the gaming subscription service, and that's Meta. They announced today the Meta Quest Plus subscription service. For $8 a month or $60 a year, you get 2 games free per month. This is very similar to services like Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus, where you get the games for free as long as you are subscribed. But when you leave the service, you can't access the games until you renew your subscription. And with other companies like Microsoft with Game Pass and Sony with PlayStation Plus Premium and Nintendo with their online expansion pass going the way of paying a subscription for a wide assortment of games, it just feels like Meta is 2 steps behind of everyone else here. Mind you, the services that Sony and Microsoft provide with Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Premium have major costs attached with exclusivity agreements and guaranteed revenue for the time it's on the service. But it just seems like a tip of the toe in the pool than anything else for Meta. I feel like I'm asking why, though, instead of asking if the service is right for people. 2 free games is 2 free games, sure. But with online gameplay attached to the console subs, it feels like something you're getting extra for the service. With Quest Plus, it feels kinda pointless. And finally, let's get into the new releases that are coming this week. As always, we separate them into 3 categories: ports, remasters and re-releases and new releases. So let's get started with the ports. And there's one port coming out this week, and that is the Destroy All Humans 2 Reprobed. It is being ported over to a PS4 and Xbox One in June 27th. I remember the original release of Destroy All Humans 2, and it was cool back then. I know many more people who are probably going to purchase this, to be absolutely honest, but maybe some are nostalgic for it. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but we'll see. And that comes out on June 27th. And let's get into remasters and re-releases. First off is the Lara Croft collection. These are the collection of the 2 games, Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light, and Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, coming to Switch only on June 29th. These are the isometric puzzle-based games with Lara Croft and a second player or a 4th player in the second game. These were fun. These were actually pretty good games. And depending on the price of what the collection is, I would definitely say pick it up and play with somebody online co-op on this. And the other remaster or re-release coming this week is Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC, coming June 30th. I talked about this, I think for the Capcom showcase when we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I really want this game. I want to play it, but for $30, I think I'm going to hold off a little bit, maybe when it hits 20. But I've definitely wanted to play this game for a while, so I will definitely be checking that at some point. And that's coming out June 30th. Now for the new releases, starting with the remake of Harvest Moon, which is called Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, coming to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC on June 27th. This is actually the first Harvest Moon that I got to try. I think this was the one on PS2, I believe. I think it was. And this is where I started to grow to like Harvest Moon. I might pick this up, drop some price. I don't think I'll pay $60 for this. I think it comes out for like $50. Hopefully it goes on Game Pass, and we'll see how that turns out. So it's coming on June 27th. This is coming to all systems, something I'm actually very interested in. AEW Fight Forever, June 29th, coming to all systems. I believe this is the game that they're using the Aki engine, which is the engine that powered up games like WWF No Mercy and WrestleMania 2000. Something that I'm, of course, nostalgic with when it comes to the Nintendo 64 and wrestling games. Curious as to how this is turning out, but I also thought this was supposed to be a smaller game, and then they added a bunch of mini games and crazy stuff to it, so I'm not entirely sure how this game is going to turn out, especially for a $60 game. So we'll find out what the reviews are on the 29th. Coming June 30th, Everybody 1-2 Switch, coming to the Switch. June 30th. I have heard horrible things about this game. I have heard on numerous podcasts and on numerous reports that the internal discussion about this game is that this game is terrible. It wasn't doing very well with audiences that they were testing it on. And I guess Nintendo just had to release it. So they're doing a small digital release for $30, I think. And from what it sounds like, that might be too much. So, we will see how badly that turns out on the 30th. Then the final release is Master Detective Archive Rain Code, coming to the Switch June 30th. This is from the creator of Danganronpa, I think, and there's a big fan base that loves Danganronpa. I am not hearing much as to whether people are excited for this game, especially people who are fans of Danganronpa, but we will see how that turns out. I think if this reviews very well, it might gain more of a standing as well, might gain more sales, but we'll see when that happens, and that's coming in June 30th. So, tell me what you think of the new releases this week. What are you picking up? What are you looking forward to? Let me know in the comments. And with that, this is the end of the Gaming News Roundup, and that is the end of this episode of I Am The Wiz. Tuesday, Zero and I are reviewing Weird, the Al Yankovic story starring Daniel Radcliffe, and Wednesday is another Gaming News Roundup. But until then, I am The Wiz, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.